Grace, thank you very much for talking to the Crave website. Very pleased to talk to new musicians all the time. You're still very young and you're starting out, and lots of New Zealanders, I guess, maybe haven't quite had a chance to get to know you. So let's start with a bit of an introduction. Is that okay? I think people know you've just got an EP out, and it's pretty much country or country pop. Well, how would you describe it? And tell me a little bit about what the EP is all about.
Yeah, definitely country is the main genre, but in terms of a more acoustic pop sound, I guess that could definitely come in, especially I think with the first track, Before and After, that could definitely a bit of crossover. But I sort of think about it, and there's not a lot of music these days that isn't crossover, and I think that's a bit of fun. But country is the core to my sound.
And what are the songs about? Because you've written them. What have you written about?
Just different experiences and, growing up. Some's about love, some's about friends who are no longer friends because, they whatever reason it is.
Yeah.
But, it's just sort of, I guess, coming of age, if you want to call it that, experiences and just the stories that I wanted to tell with that.
Cool. So, your path to country is interesting because you did live in America and you visited probably the most famous place in America to go for country music. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was living in San Jose for 6 years, coming back and forth from America, and I had this idea and sort of said to my parents, "Oh, what if I recorded while I was in America?" And they were very generous in agreeing to that, and we sort of made that happen. And Nashville seems a very long way away when you're here, but when you're in the States, it's a flight away, and it's so accessible. So country music wasn't really on my radar. I didn't not like it or love it. It was just kind of there. But I guess here in New Zealand, there's not a huge country music reach, so it was just never something that I was exposed to enough. And then I just remember it was my first night, and we were walking, my dad and I, down Broadway, and I think just hearing it in its authentic place and hearing it live, and I just fell in love with it straight away, and I was like, this is the kind of music that I want to make. And then did a recording session in Nashville and had the country musicians come in and play the songs, and they brought my songs to life, and it was a surreal experience, and I guess it's just sort of stuck with me now.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, not everyone just says, "Oh, I'd like to go to Nashville," and they do go to Nashville and record a song. So tell us a bit about the stepping stone, because you were in, as you said, you were in San Jose, and I think you were writing some material, and there was one song that the people of San Jose really liked, right?
Yeah, so this was the first time I went to Nashville was 2016, and that was prior to any of the San Jose stuff had happened. And the first, so I've recorded in Nashville 3 times, which has been amazing. And the first 2 was mostly development. It was just sort of getting an idea for the studio and getting to have a nice little CD for my family and friends to be able to listen to. And it was just a fun project that I could sort of look forward to. And then after the San Jose thing happened, where the tourism board picked up my song and wanted to use it, that was then another thing where it was like, okay, I'll be in the States, so let's go and record and get this EP out, because it was sort of like I knew that I'd wanted to put out an EP for a while, but I just was still developing my voice in a way that I wanted to, because I was going from 14, 15, 16, so it was changing a lot, and my sound and my songwriting was getting better, and so it was like there gets to a point where you're not just going to wait till you're 30 and then you could wait forever to have your best sound, but then it got to a point where I was a bit older and I was happy with the music that I was writing and making, and everything just kind of fell into place.
Well, that's, and I mean, it's a really polished sound. The songs are really catchy. You've got quite a distinctive voice. Are you kind of channeling any particular artists who have influenced you in your growing up that you feel have helped you fashion your voice?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it definitely depends. I'm always finding new artists and trying to take different pieces, but there's just so many artists that I've come to love, and I don't know, I guess it's just you find artists you like, you listen to them a lot, consume their music, and then take a bit of that you love, and then you move on to the next artist, and then you find out what works for you. A big thing with me, with my voice, is sustainability. I want to be able to sing forever. So if it's an unhealthy voice that I'm using, it's like, nah, that's out. But it's an option and it's a choice. But yeah.
Cool. Now, you're only 17, but you've already done some live performances, as you say. You've been to Nashville.
Yeah.
How young were you when you started to feel, hey, this is something I'd really like to do. I can do it. And I'm kind of wondering whether, your parents had some influence on your musical education.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I was always that kid who, you come run for a family dinner, and I was that kid that brought you to, oh, come watch the show that I've put on, or come watch this that I've done. Like, yeah, I was very much a performing kid. So I think my parents always knew that I would be doing something in this kind of field, but they're so supportive of, I've got 2 older siblings, and they're so supportive of all of us, and just doing what they can to make sure that we can sort of do what we want. And yeah, I guess it's just about hard work and figuring out what you want to do and just going with it 100%.
And your dad's a musician, is that right?
Yeah, so he plays trombone in a jazz band, and then my granddad plays piano in a jazz band as well. So it's always sort of been around music, and it's just, I've been exposed to it since I was young. So yeah.
Are your older siblings musical as well?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, no. Oh. My brother plays cricket, so he took all the sporting genes.
Fair enough. And I mentioned just briefly that you have performed live. I think you've opened for some really top-notch country artists. Tell me a little bit about the buzz of being on stage.
Yeah, so in 2019, September, I got to open for Blake Shelton, which was still to this day the coolest thing I've ever done. It was the best day of my life. And yeah, through the San Jose story, the country radio station over there, KRTY, they had asked me if I wanted to be one of the opening acts for Blake Shelton. Obviously, you can guess what my answer was. And yeah, so got to go over there, and I don't know, normally when I perform, there's a small amount of nerves, even if it's just like a pub gig. There's still an element of wanting to do well, and, the adrenaline of performing live. And this one, I thought that I'd be particularly nervous and almost more scared than excited. But I was right before I went on stage. And then as soon as I walked out there and started playing, I was like, this is so fun. Because it was my first arena show. So it was like I didn't really know what to expect. And there was a lot of new parts to doing it. And I had the most fun ever. And I was like, I'm meant to be here.
Any idea how big the crowd was?
I think it holds like 17,500.
Ooh, yeah. Nice. Yeah. So, can we just come back to the EP, which is called Before, which has just been released? It's come at a fascinating time in the history of our country, hasn't it, Grace? Because we're all in a lockdown. But I guess these days, I know artists around the world are trying to figure out ways to get around that, and they're doing streaming of gigs and whatnot. What have you been thinking about doing?
Yeah, so on Saturday at 2 p.m, I'm doing a live video on my Instagram, which seems to be what the general masses are doing. It's sort of, getting live streaming so that you can still have a kind of authenticity in what you're performing and still be connecting with people virtually, but connecting at a distance, I like to call it. But yeah, it's trying to adapt to this sort of curveball.
Yeah, well, which we're all having to do. So, but eventually it'll come to an end. What would be the next stage? Would you maybe do some shows in New Zealand, or maybe go back to the States? What are your thoughts about that?
No, yeah, definitely. I want to do a lot of shows around New Zealand. I'm not sure. I had a few lined up for the EP launch that have obviously now sort of been postponed. So once there's a clearer idea of when things will be up and running again, they'll be revamped. But I'm playing with a guitarist called Nick Brightwell, and so we're sort of doing a duo thing at the moment. And it'll just be figuring out some things that we can do around New Zealand, maybe Aussie, but yeah, keep it home and local for now.
Cool. Fantastic. Well, I think people are going to really enjoy your music. Thank you so much for talking to us. There is one last question, which I must ask you. I'm sure everyone does, but especially for someone of my generation, the name Grace Kelly makes us think of a very famous American actress of the 1950s. Is there any link at all to you being called Grace Kelly with her?
No, so yeah, some people think it's like my stage name. They're like, "Oh, so what's your real name?" I'm like, "No, Grace Kelly." Yeah, my parents they called me that, and they always tell the story about how when they're in the hospital, the nurses were like, "Oh, Grace Kelly, your name's Grace Kelly," and they were like, "Yeah, we know, like that's what we decided to call her." And they're like, "No, it's Grace Kelly, like the princess and the actress." And then it sort of clicked, and they liked the name, and I'm happy we didn't change it. I like it, and I think that it's got a bit of weight to it, another talking point, and so yeah.
That's right. No, it's great. No, you should get your name. You keep it. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Hey, well, thank you so much. We're really so pleased you could spend some time to talk to us during the lockdown. And I hope you stay well and stay healthy. And we look forward one day to seeing you play live in concert. That'd be great. Thank you.
No, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.